Hello guys, Archangel here with my second guide of patch 5.4, and this is the Unholy Deathknight PvE guide. I'll be uploading my last PvE guide, the Frost Your Will DK, soon enough. I'll be taking a week's break soon, so maybe have to be after that. And a Blood DK guide will be out eventually as well. PvP guides will be out soon as well, so there's a lot much to look forward to. This is my Unholy Deathknight PvE guide for patch 5.4 and Siege of Orgrimmar. So this is the DPS graph. As you can see, Unholy has dropped behind Frost one-handed and Frost two-handed. This is pretty bad, and it is like this the entire time. It doesn't scale higher than the other two or anything. So unfortunately, Unholy is the worst spec to play at the moment as a Death Knight. That being said, worst is kind of a bad word to use because it's probably not the worst spec to play actually. When you get to best in the slot, it's actually almost on par with Frost two-handed. It's not too far behind. Unholy has its other uses. It's got a very nice AoE for mobs to take them down, especially on long-winded AoE fights, which there's a few of. The second boss, for instance, and Holy's a very good spec to play on that because of the dot damage. And there's a few other bosses like that as well with ads that are AoE'd. So, of course, you don't have to take the other specs. Play which spec you play best. That should do the most damage for you. So Unholy Deathknight's got a couple of major changes in patch 5.4. The strength gathered from Unholy Might has been increased by 15% to 25% now. And Holy Presence now just increases your haste by 10%. Before, it was some elements of haste, including rune regeneration, but now it's just everything, just in your haste overall by 10%. So that's a nice change, a nice buff there for Unholy. Okay, so stats for Unholy in patch 5.4 are really messed up now. As you can see, the stat weight on the strength has decreased from about 10 to 7.75. The hit and expertise, of course, you must cap them. That is your number one priority to do. But this is where it gets interesting with the secondary stats. Now, as you can see, crit is slightly ahead in the stat priority, but not much at all. So really, whatever you get most from on your gear, you probably want to go with that, or whatever you feel most comfortable with, as crit will maybe increase your DPS slightly, but ever so slightly, but I would go with whatever you feel like for Unholy. And as you can see, they are above the halfway mark under the strength, and so you want to be gemming either haste, crit, or mastery focused gems. But like I said, I wouldn't take this into account and gem which one is the best, or reforge into which one is the best. I would go whichever one you want for this patch, haste, crit, or mastery. I'd go whichever one makes you feel better. Of course, you want to be going mastery, haste, crit, get a mix of them if you want, but I would focus on one if I were you, or maybe go for some sort of haste cap if you want, but you need to find out your personal stat weights and go with that, in my opinion. For AoE fights it might be a little different, of course. Mastery plays a bigger part because of the dot ticks and death and decay, but for single target fights I would go whichever one you feel is best at the moment. So the same with gemming, you go onto your secondary stat as a main gemming stat, so either haste, mastery, or crit. Just stack that with gems. Obviously for the purple gem you want to be going for the crit, and you want to be going for the secondary stat and hit gem, but I'll show them in a second anyway. So here are the gems you can be taking. Obviously you want to be going with whichever one you want to focus on, crit, haste, or mastery. Orange gems are used instead of red, green gems are used instead of blue, and yellow are used on yellow. You take your pick out of those and use them, but there's nothing else I need to say about gems really. Just make your own decision up, like I said, in the stats, and whatever you feel is best. These are the enchants I'd use. For shoulder, you use the Greater Tiger Fan inscription. For your back, you want to be using the Critical Strike. Use hit if you don't have enough hit, but most of the times you will be over your hit cap because of gear in this expansion, it seems. Chest, you want to be going with Glorious Stats. With your wrist, you want to be going for Exceptional Strength. Hands, you want to go for Super Strength. Legs, you want to get Anger Hide Leg Armor from a Leather Worker. Feet, you want Enchant Boots, Greater Haste. Go for the Mastery enchant if you wish, but the Haste one does give more haste than the Mastery one gives Mastery, so I'd go with the Haste one if I were you. And on your weapon, you go Ruin the Fallen Crusader. Don't forget, enchanters, that you can get Strength on your rings, and remember to get a Belt Buckle for the extra gem. Okay, so as for your talents, on the first tier, Plague Leech is just doing a little more damage, but on AoE fights, you might want to be going Rolling Blood instead for the disease spread and the AoE damage from Blood Boil. Unholy Blight I wouldn't use at all, but I'd go with Plague Leech for the single target fights for sure. It's 2 free Death Runes, which means 2 Scourge Strikes, or a Soul Reaper and a Scourge Strike, or a Festering Strike if you're going with a Festivite play, but I wouldn't go with that this patch at the moment actually. But the second tier talent is completely fight dependent. Purgatory you won't be using for most fights, but some fights have some nasty stacking magic damage, and you want to be using Anti-Magic Zone for that. Lichborn I would use on any fights where you're getting CC'd, but there aren't any really that I've seen so far, so I wouldn't be using that much, but if there is, then I'd be using Lichborn. Death's Advance should be used as a utility, get around faster in fights. Chillblains is the third tier of talents by the way. Chillblains, use this when you're kiting ads, or there's not even when you're not kiting ads, you keep them slowed, it's very nice. Just spreading your diseases onto them will get them slowed. Asphyxiate is good on ads, where you need to interrupt them time and time again, your mind freeze is on cooldown, then you can use Asphyxiate every 30 seconds as well, so that's really good. Fourth tier talent is a no-brainer. You take Death Pack because it doesn't take any of your DPS away unless it kills your ghoul or something. Then it will take some of your DPS away, but it's a nice big heal as well. Fifth tier talents, Blood Tap is doing more damage at the moment than Runic Empowerment and Runic Corruption. So take this. I'll have the figures on screen now, as you can probably see. And sixth tier talent is entirely fight dependent again. Remorseless Winter when you've got adds to CC, or Gorfian's Grasp when you've got adds to gather up, or you want to be using Desecrated Ground to remove debuffs off you. Good on fights such as Iron Quan was and Throne of Thunder, this is a pretty good ability there. As for your glyphs, you want to be going with the Glyph of Anti-Magic Shell, the Glyph of Regenerative Magic. This is a big DPS increase most of the time because you get a lower cooldown on your Anti-Magic Shell, which means more runic power to gain from magic abilities. Obviously the boss has to have magic abilities in the first place. And for your third tier, you want to be using either Glyph of Pestilence or Glyph of Loud Horn. Loud Horn is a DPS increase. You might say no it isn't because the cooldown's been doubled as well, but we weren't using it off cooldown anyway, so this is technically a DPS increase for most players. Your minor glyphs, I would go with Resilient Grip for sure, just in case your Death Grip fails. And you can go with something cool like the Glyph of Skeleton, which I haven't actually tried yet, and Tranquil Grip's pretty good as well. Your Death Grip no longer taunts the target, but there isn't you can have a lot of choice for minor glyphs really. There isn't much point in taking one just for the fight. They are good in some fights, but that's it. But anyway, those are the talents and glyphs, my god. As for your single target rotation, you want to be using Soul Reaper whenever your target is below 35%. With the Throne of Thunder 4 set, this is 45%. Diseases must be up at all times. You want to be using Death and Decay on your Death runes or Unholy runes. Why use Death and Decay instead of Scourge Strike? Well, it actually hits harder on single target nowadays, and if you're stacking Mastery, it will hit even harder than Scourge Strike will. So use Death and Decay off cooldown now, but only when the boss, you know the boss is going to stay in the Death and Decay for the full duration. Don't use it otherwise. Anyway, Scourge Strike when your Death and Decay is on cooldown on your Unholy and Death runes, Dark Transformation whenever it procs, Death Coil when Sudden Doom procs or your RP is about to cap. You want to be using Festering Strike when Blood runes and Frost runes are up. Now Festering Strike has had a change. For some reason it looks like a Frost ability now. I'm not sure if that's a bug or they've just decided to change the icon, but it has changed. The icon does look different now. So if you can't find it, it does look different. It looks like a Frost ability. You want to be using Scourge Strike, Festering Strike and Horn of Winter if none of the other are available for you. And now I'll give a demonstration of me doing it on a target dummy. Okay, so here is the new and improved Festering Strike icon. As you can see, it looks pretty frosty nowadays, but there it is. This is going to be a single target rotation. We're on this dummy over here. You want to start by having your ghoul up, of course. Horn of Winter needs to be up on you, and you want Army of the Dead. Then you want to go in with all your cooldowns, pop your Gargoyle and Holy Might, get Festering Strike, Scourge Strike when your Death runes are up. Now remember to get your Death and Decay up, but if your targets are constantly moving, then you don't want Death and Decay up. Remember, Death and Decay is good on single target. Now Plague Leech is very good because you can go Plague Leech and then you can go Plague Strike and you get both your diseases back up, so it's worth it every time with Plague Leech. Just use it off cooldown, and even when you've got Outbreak it's even better. And there's your proc on Dark Transformation right there. Your Empower Rune Weapon you want to be using when you've got nothing, say there, and you get an extra lot of runes. Use your Festering Strike there to get an extra Death rune. Remember to use Blood Tap all the time. Soul Reaper use when he's below 35%, or as I've said 45% if you've got the 4 set from Throne of Thunder. Obviously it's not going to hit on this target dummy because I can't get it down. And that's just about it. Pop your cooldowns when they come back up. Make sure your diseases stay up. It's not hard to keep your diseases up as Unholy. Use your Plague Leech whenever it's off cooldown pretty much. And use it on Outbreak when you can as well, to get 2 Death runes instead of 1 because you'll be using the 1s. Plague Strike. And that's about it for the rotation really. Now a little quick one on the AoE rotation. For this I'll be using Blood Boil with Roiling Blood, since I believe it is a little bit better than Plague Leech, although you do get free Death Runes with Plague Leech, so you can just Pestilence anyway. But I'll be using Roiling Blood for this one. Get your Death and Decay down at the start, get your diseases up, and spread them to your targets, and then you want to keep Blood Boiling. As you can see, the Blood Boil, it will be hitting very hard because there's 3 targets to hit here, whereas my Scourge Strike will be hitting a lot less than the Blood Boil, and so you want to be using Blood Boil so long as there's 3 or more targets. And that's pretty much it for the irritation. Just keep your diseases up, use Death and Decay off cooldown, and make sure you get your blood taps ready. Thanks everyone for watching this guide. If you want to see any other guides, you can look on my channel, or if you really like the guide, then you can like the video, favourite it, or even subscribe to see more videos in the future. I will be uploading more guides, as I said. Some RBGs will be up eventually, more raid kills, arenas, all sorts of WoW things will be uploaded very soon. My channel is going to be very active, as it already is at the moment, unlike over the summer when it wasn't. But anyway, thanks for watching everyone, and I'll see you soon.